Morning. When I was invited by Jayshankar just to share some thoughts, they said share some insights about what happened. So that's what I intend to do. I want to share 3 insights. And of course, I told my friend there, he just warned me, I intend to shut up before my time is up. The first, of course, is that I believe everyone here is an expert on teams. Because when we have been working with organizations over the last 3 decades, I can tell you almost everyone tells me that they have teamwork inside the organization. But the first insight that I've received over the years is that teamwork and teams are not very natural in organizations. They could be very natural in nature, very natural in nature, and extremely unnatural as far as business organizations are concerned, and more so in India. And I'm stressing this because I know while all of us claim to work in teams and inside organizations, the truth is that when it comes to actually working as teams, culturally we have not really created that environment. And therefore that is what often hinders this teamwork from happening. And I've seen this years ago. I remember when my son was in school playing basketball for his school team. Invariably when the selections were made for the national competition, the inter-district competition, etc. When the teams were selected, we spoke to people as to what was the criteria which was used for selecting the players. Invariably, the boys who scored the greatest number of baskets, those who are familiar with basketball, were the people who made it to the team. And I was reminded years ago of a statement I had read about Michael Jordan, where his coach once told him that, Michael, if you can't pass, you can't play. So whereas in our environment, invariably the people who gave the passes are the people in the shadows. If you passed, you're not noticed. If you scored, you were noticed. So invariably the power of collaboration, which cognitively neuroscience tells us and all that stuff, everyone knows that it's what is to be done. But the people who do the passing are the people in the shadows, the back office guys, the HR guys perhaps, the line guys who take away the limelight. And so I don't see that as a natural instinct that comes up. And invariably, therefore, if you're not recognizing it sufficiently, you don't find people willing to exhibit that, because when you're constantly getting rewarded, you're getting rewarded for scoring, not for passing, you're not supported. The second insight I must share with you, and this came up very, very strongly in my mind, again going back to the flight. I was watching a film which I'm sure many of you have seen called Fire in Babylon. Perhaps some of you have seen it. It's a film very close to my heart also because of the fact that it portrays one of the best periods in sporting history, when a team dominated a sport for 15 years. Never before, never after has a team dominated sport for such a long period, 15 years. And those of you who have seen the film, if you've not, I would certainly recommend that you watch it, because I know cricket is a passion in our country. Certainly watch it, and this era was from March 1980 to about April 1995, when the West Indies dominated the world of sport, the world of cricket, like no other team had ever done. And of course, as some of you are aware, my second insight, as I said, that teams need investment. And that investment, of course, is not the money, because the West Indies Cricket Board has never been known for its money. but it's because of the investment that certain people put into it. Starting, of course, was some inspirational leadership by certain giants in the game. You're all familiar with Clive Lloyd, so you know why he was such a giant. Physically, he was a big man, extremely talented, but he worked with those people. So the investment was getting a common purpose created. And that common purpose was not very difficult for them to do. Because what he brought together to knit the team together was something which had been rankling inside them for over centuries, in fact. That we need to teach the colonial masters a few things. And believe me, when that common purpose is created in any organization, but finding that common ground is very difficult. But getting that common purpose together makes a huge difference to the way the whole team is invested. The team gets created, and that investment is what I'm talking about. Inspirational leadership and a lot of hard work built over a period of time. And those of you familiar with that era, if you're major cricket fans, will tell you that that was something which is very unnatural for the West Indies, because as you know, there is no country called the West Indies. They just come together only because of this sport alone. And what brought them together was the fact that before then, when you got 10 West Indians together, what you found was what was characterized, those 10 people together were always characterized as a gang. But this gentleman and the people around him, a lot of support staff together, gave them a common purpose. And that common purpose, if you can only recreate or create inside your own organization, even as a small group or a large group, you're able to create a team together. And this is not easy, because when in a team where everybody is rewarded for scoring, not passing, then there is always a chance of a few superstars, and the team had one number of superstars standing over head and shoulders above everybody else. And those superstars are necessary, but they also wreck the team. So there was something more important than just those superstars, and that was the common purpose that was created. And if you know your sporting history, that is the era when they were really tested, because the game was undergoing a lot of change. Much like we talk about today, that the business organizations are buffeted from all sides by change. The sporting world was getting buffeted by all sides from change. And the biggest, of course, was money coming in. But that investment that the leader made, and the investment that the people around him built around the common purpose that they were able to create, made them a huge difference. And I don't find that kind of deep investment in organizations today, because organizations are all in a hurry. We get called in to do some work with organizations, but everybody wants to say, that a team to be created in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 6 months. I don't think that is true. You can make everybody feel happy in a few days. But that deep investment of time, if you're not willing to do it, and not just as much as the discussion on assessment centers or the other HR paraphernalia that we've been talking about all morning, this is just one more of the ornamental things that HR people like to do. Or organizations. Why am I only speaking about the HR people? Organizations. If they are not willing to make that deep investment, starting with that deep investment that the leader is prepared to. And business leaders often are not prepared to make that investment. Instead, what we have is a common situation where everybody is given a t-shirt and a cap and call it team. But what you have actually is nothing but gangs operating inside organizations. Or groups certainly, collectives of people, but not a team. The investment, that's my second insight of the years. And I can tell you that there are leaders who made those investments. And wherever they have made those investments, they've often done it in small levels. But I don't mind even if they do it at the highest level inside the organization, because as all of us understand, if the model is created successfully at the highest level, then it can cascade beautifully further down. But all that needs sustained leadership. And why the fire in Babylon came to me as an imagery was the fact that sustaining it over a period of 15 years. And so when we spoke about leaders this morning and leadership and character, and some of the names that you mentioned are all people who have stayed in an assignment for a reasonable period of time, 10 years, 15 years, even longer. Only then does that character truly get visible, because you are tested under fire. The third insight is that I think it's feasible to do this. And I may sound a little negative when I say that people are not prepared to make the investment. People are not willing, this doesn't come natural. But I also believe that if people are willing to do it, it can be done. And invariably when firms have attempted or individuals have attempted, with this deep patience required to go through the peaks and valleys of any business, if they don't throw it out of the window in the first instance of stress and fire, they'll be able to do it. And if you're truly L&OD practitioners, which is what this forum is intended to create, then I think it's a question that you have to ask yourself whether you believe it as a value for yourself and are willing to sustain the journey that is necessary to create a team, whichever team that you want to work. Because one of the biggest challenges that you find, that I talk about is when the same HR people who talk in terms of deep diving into something are not there after 6 months when you go and meet them, They're deep diving somewhere else. So and therefore the words are being attempted. But they're not really, they don't have any faith in the words that they use. So if you are serious about it, firms can make it happen. And whichever level, whether I would love to see it at a collective, at an organizational collective, but even if it's at a project team level, even if it's at a HR team level, even if it is a task force level, but if you truly want to get that teamwork going, because the message that I learned over a period of time was there is nothing more joyous than working in a team. There's nothing more joyous. And it's not because they have succeeded in doing something. People are even joyous when they have attempted and failed. Because for those people, the journey was as inspirational or as exciting, as are deeply convinced that like in nature, organizations can also replicate it by making, first of all, making deep investments, and secondly, staying the course of the journey. Thank you.